Welcome to Le Podcast de Philippe. You know, the show where we like to dive deep into complex topics.
I do.
And extract these insightful nuggets.
Yeah, that's right.
Really get into it.
Absolutely.
Today we're looking at
Okay.
the decline of freedom in the U.S.
Right?
And we're doing it through kind of the lens of
Yes.
Nobel Prize-winning economist Joseph Stiglitz.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He argues that neoliberalism has paved the way for oligarchy, undermined democratic institutions, and basically we're going to unpack all that and explore how the unfettered pursuit of profit has fueled inequality and eroded trust in institutions.
Yeah.
And even set the stage for populist leaders like Donald Trump.
Interesting.
So
I'm ready.
if you are ready to have your assumptions challenged and gain a deeper understanding of the forces shaping our world,
Yeah.
you're in the right place.
I think so.
And hey, while you're here,
Yeah.
don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and like this video for more deep dives like this.
Absolutely. Definitely do that. So.
All right. So Stiglitz,
Yeah.
his work,
Yeah.
he connects economic theory
Yes.
to the real world in a way that's insightful and alarming.
Yeah, he really does. And he starts by dropping this bombshell,
What's up?
calling the U.S. an oligarchy,
Oh, wow.
where this small group of super wealthy individuals,
Okay.
they wield
Yeah.
disproportionate influence over both the economy and the political system.
It's not just the concentration of wealth, is it?
No, you're exactly right.
Like,
Yeah.
he points to these trends, voter suppression,
Yes.
particularly driven by Republicans,
Right.
as deliberate attempts
Yeah.
to undermine democracy.
Exactly. And he even expresses personal fear
Oh, wow.
about the suppression of academic freedom, citing, restrictions on teaching about climate change, evolution, even America's history of slavery in places like Florida.
Yeah,
It's a chilling thought
it is.
that even the free exchange of ideas is under threat. Right. And that's where the link to neoliberalism comes in.
Yes.
Everyone's
talking about it.
It's supposed to lift everybody up.
Yeah.
Stiglitz, he argues,
Yeah.
that it's not just some abstract theory.
Right.
This is shaping our lives.
Yes.
Not necessarily for the better.
Yeah. And he goes on to say that these policies have actually led to slower economic growth
Wow.
and a widening gap between,
The rich and poor.
the rich and the poor. The
Yeah.
rich get richer.
Right. Exactly.
But Stiglitz, he goes further
Okay.
and connects this economic reality to the rise of populism.
Okay.
He argues that this broken system, the promises of neoliberalism,
Yeah.
they haven't materialized for so many.
Right.
It breeds resentment,
Right.
creates a fertile ground
Yes.
for figures like Donald Trump to emerge.
It's like he predicted it.
I was just going to say that. It's almost eerie how prescient he was about this.
Right.
Back in 2011,
Yeah.
Stiglitz wrote an article,
What was it called?
Of the 1%, by the 1%, for the 1%.
Oh, yeah.
He basically predicted the rise of a demagogue like Trump,
Right.
highlighting how concentrated wealth and power
Yeah.
can really warp democratic institutions,
Yeah.
leave people feeling unheard,
Yeah.
disillusioned.
Absolutely.
He was looking into a crystal ball.
He was.
It's not even just about economic inequality.
It's not.
Stiglitz is also deeply concerned about the influence
Okay.
of corporations and billionaires
Yeah.
who control these,
Yeah.
media and social media platforms.
Oh, right.
He specifically names Elon Musk,
Interesting.
raising these serious questions about who controls the flow of information
That's a good question.
and how that shapes public perception.
That raises a question.
Yeah.
What does freedom even mean
That's right.
in this context?
Exactly.
If a handful of powerful individuals can manipulate what we see and hear,
Right.
are we free
That's the question.
to form our own opinions?
Yeah.
That's right.
It's like in 1984.
He actually compares it.
Animal Farm.
He compares it to dystopian novels like 1984 and Animal Farm,
Yeah.
where propaganda
Right.
reigns supreme and
Yeah.
people are manipulated
By those in power.
by those in power. It's
Pretty unsettling comparison.
it is a pretty unsettling comparison.
I mean, it makes you think
It does make you think, yeah.
about our freedom.
And whose freedom are we even talking about? Stiglitz argues that this neoliberal
Yeah.
concept of individual freedom
Yeah.
often comes at a cost,
It does.
at the expense of others.
It's expense of others, yeah.
Think about environmental pollution.
Okay.
The freedom to pollute,
Right.
enjoyed by some,
Yeah.
comes at the expense of clean air and water.
for everyone else.
For everyone else, yeah. Or gun rights,
Yeah.
where the freedom of some to own firearms
Uh-huh.
can have a devastating impact on
Yeah.
safety and security.
Of others, yeah, your right to swing your fist ends where my nose begins.
Yes, exactly.
He's applying that principle to these larger societal issues.
Yeah.
And to drive this point home,
Yeah.
he uses a really stark analogy.
Okay.
The freedom of the wolf is the death of the sheep.
Wow.
It's a harsh image,
It is.
but it gets you thinking
It really does.
about whose freedom is being prioritized
Yeah.
and who ends up paying the price.
It makes you think.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It makes you think about, like, who benefits, really, when we talk about freedom.
You're talking about his argument that taxation can actually,
Yeah, enhance freedom.
enhance freedom.
Right.
Yeah, right. Which seems counterintuitive, right?
It does at first.
Because we're so used to hearing about taxes as like
Yeah, a burden.
a burden and infringement on like individual liberty.
Right, exactly. But Stiglitz flips the script.
He does.
He says, when done right,
Yeah.
taxation is a powerful tool
Yes.
for expanding our freedom.
Collective freedom.
Our collective freedom, yeah. He points out
Yeah.
that taxes fund, the essential education, infrastructure. Yeah,
All the things.
things that benefit everyone.
Yeah.
And they create opportunities
They do.
for people to thrive.
Yeah. He uses a great example.
What's that?
The development
Oh,
and distribution of the COVID-19 vaccines.
right.
Those life-saving vaccines.
Yeah.
Largely funded by governments
Right.
through taxation.
Yeah.
And they protected public health and saved countless lives.
Powerful example. Really challenges that
It does.
narrow view of freedom as just like being left alone
Yes. Yes, exactly.
by a government.
And speaking of government,
Okay.
Stiglitz makes this like fascinating connection.
Okay, what is it?
He draws a parallel
Okay.
between the decline of individual freedom
Yeah.
and the erosion of state sovereignty.
In the age of globalization.
In the age of globalization,
Good point.
globalization,
Yeah.
particularly in its current form,
Yeah.
can empower these multinational corporations
Yeah.
and weaken the ability of nation states
Right.
to effectively regulate
Yeah.
and protect their citizens.
Right.
You know what he brings up as an example?
What's that?
Donald Trump's threat to invade Greenland.
Oh, wow. That's
Might sound crazy,
wild.
but
yeah.
it highlights the potential dangers
Yeah.
of a world order where powerful actors
Yeah.
feel entitled to just disregard
Right. Disregard.
international law
Yeah.
and norms.
It's a stark reminder.
It is a stark reminder how the pursuit of self-interest,
Yeah.
whether by,
individuals
or nations,
Yeah.
can undermine
the foundations.
the foundations of a stable and just society.
Wow. And this isn't just like a modern
It
phenomenon.
brings in a historical example,
What's that?
the Opium Wars.
Right.
Powerful nations imposing their will
Others.
with devastating consequences.
Yeah. This is pretty bleak.
It's pretty bleak, yeah.
So, like, what's the solution?
Well, thankfully,
It's fully.
Stiglitz doesn't just offer doom and gloom.
Right.
He proposes
So,
some concrete solutions.
like what?
One of the most interesting is his call
Okay.
for greater
To
diversity.
institutions, not just tweaking the existing system, right?
He's advocating for a fundamental shift
Wow.
in how we think about organizing
It's our society.
our
yeah.
economy. He argues that we need more than just
Or the
profit-driven corporations
Yeah.
calling the shots.
right. We need
We need a healthy mix
a mix of
nonprofit organizations,
nonprofits.
public institutions,
Yeah.
cooperatives operating alongside.
Those corporations.
We're not putting all our eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
Right.
We're creating this more balanced ecosystem.
More balanced, yeah.
Different values, priorities can flourish.
Uses good examples, too.
Yeah.
Healthcare.
Education.
Education.
Elder care.
Elder care, yeah.
Do we really want to leave those like essential services in the hands of,
Corporations, for-profit corporations
Yeah.
whose primary motive is profit.
Exactly. Contrast those
Yes.
successful nonprofit universities.
Yeah, like
Harvard.
Yale, the for-profit Trump University,
Oh, right.
which ultimately crumbled.
Under the weight of its own exploitative practices.
Yeah, it's a stark illustration.
It is.
How profit-seeking can go wrong,
Yeah.
especially in sectors that impact people's lives.
Right. Ties back into freedom,
It does.
Creating a society where
Right.
everyone
Has the opportunity
has the opportunity, yeah.
to reach their full potential.
Exactly.
Those who are already privileged or wealthy.
Those who are already privileged or wealthy.
Those who are already privileged or wealthy.
Expanding our understanding of freedom beyond just, like, the absence of government interference. It's about creating conditions where everybody
can genuinely thrive.
Can thrive,
Pursue their own
version,
of a good life.
A good life. So we've talked about Stiglitz's critique of neoliberalism.
We have.
His concerns about oligarchy.
Yes.
His vision for, like,
more diverse
and ethical institutional landscape.
Institutional landscape. But there's one more.
What's that?
Big idea.
Okay.
The question of scale.
Okay.
Stiglitz is deeply concerned
About that.
about the sheer size and power.
It's corporations.
Billionaires.
Yeah.
Social media platforms.
Right. In the 21st century.
In the 21st century, yeah.
Can democracy even function?
It's a big question.
In a world dominated by these
behemoths. Yeah.
He doesn't shy away from that.
Wow. He's worried about
what it means for the future
yeah.
of freedom and democracy.
To unpack it further, he highlights the emergence of what's called the Neoliberalism movement in the U.S.
Neoliberalism, what's that about?
They argue that excessive size itself, regardless of a company's actions, can pose a threat to democracy.
So it's not just about, like, what they do, but about their sheer size, the weight they throw around, the potential to stifle competition.
Yeah. Distort
markets.
Just by existing.
Yeah.
Gets to the heart of it, really.
Yes. This whole deep dive. How do we ensure that freedom benefits everyone? And not just a select few. How do we protect democracy?
Yeah.
When there's so much power concentrated.
In so few hands.
Yeah. Those are tough, hefty questions.
Easy to feel overwhelmed, but Stiglitz reminds us.
Actually not powerless.
We're not powerless.
Right.
He really emphasized
the
critical role
of citizen engagement. Shaping a better future.
He argues that when things are going well, people tend to get complacent.
We get comfortable. Assume the system's working. Yeah.
And that allows
those in power.
To consolidate their control.
Uses a good analogy.
What's that?
Boiling frog.
Oh, yeah.
Drop a frog in boiling water.
Dumps right out.
But
if you slowly heat the water.
Heat it.
The frog won't even notice the danger.
Till it's too late.
Powerful metaphor
It is.
for how we can become, like, desensitized.
Yeah, to gradual changes. Even when they're chipping away at our freedoms, undermining our democracy.
Yeah.
So
Don't be passive.
Can't be passive.
Gotta stay informed.
Stay informed.
Get involved. Hold those in power
accountable. Stiglitz says power concedes nothing without a demand. It's up to us to make those demands. Fight for a more
just and equitable world.
Where freedom truly flourishes.
You know, like, thinking about Stiglitz's background here.
Oh, yeah.
He was actually part of the Clinton administration.
Right.
Chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors.
Gives him a unique perspective.
It really does.
On how these ideas play out in the real world.
And he talks about, like, how neoliberal thinking was just so pervasive at the time.
Yeah.
That it influenced even center-left leaders.
Like left.
Bill Clinton, Tony Blair.
Yeah.
Gerhard Schroeder.
He even calls it, like, an intellectual success story.
Yeah, for neoliberalism.
Kind of ironic.
It is ironic, right?
Because
he's one of its biggest critics.
Yeah, he's a critic.
But it shows you how much these ideas had permeated the political landscape.
Right.
But Stiglitz, he does draw distinctions between these leaders.
Okay, how so?
He suggests that, like, while they were influenced by neoliberal thinking, there were varying degrees of commitment to those ideas, and in some cases, even a level of
corruption.
Yeah.
He points to Gerhard Schroeder.
The former German chancellor.
Yeah, who later went on to work for
Gazprom,
the Russian energy giant.
Wow.
Clear conflict of interest there, right?
It seems like it.
Sign of the corrupting influence of corporate power.
On politics.
But with Clinton,
yeah,
Stiglitz presents a more nuanced view.
Okay.
He describes this genuine internal debate within the administration.
Okay.
Between those who favored deregulation,
right,
and those who advocated for stronger social safety nets.
Okay.
And regulations.
To curb corporate power.
To curb corporate power.
He was on that side.
He acknowledges the pro-business side often won out. But at least there was a debate.
Yeah, there's a debate.
It wasn't a foregone conclusion
Yeah.
that neoliberal policies
Would just dominate.
It makes you wonder
How things might have been different.
how things might have turned out differently if
Like,
those advocating for a more balanced approach had prevailed.
right. What if?
What if?
Let's
imagine
Okay.
you've just been elected president.
Okay.
What advice
Would you seek from...
would you seek from an expert like Stiglitz
Yeah.
to make your nation
Truly free.
truly free?
Great question.
Well,
Yeah.
the interviewer in this source material
Okay.
actually posed that question to Stiglitz.
Interesting. And what did he say?
And he emphasizes there's no easy recipe.
Yeah. Simple answer.
For freedom, it's
Bucks.
multifaceted, requires a comprehensive approach,
A lot of issues.
a wide range of issues.
Right.
He starts by emphasizing
Is there urgency?
the urgency of
Climate change.
climate change. If we want future generations to have any freedom at all,
Yeah. You got to act.
we have to act decisively to address this
Existential threat.
existential threat.
Right.
He then talks about
Retirement.
retirement, pensions,
Yeah.
recognizing the need for,
Systems that provide a decent
standard of living
standard of living. Yeah.
for the elderly,
Taking into account
increasing life expectancy,
longer lives
Yeah.
and
different circumstances.
for different circumstances.
And this is where Stiglitz challenges another assumption,
What's that?
the supposed efficiency
Of the free market?
of the free market.
Oh, interesting.
He argues markets are often far less efficient
When we think.
than we give them credit for, especially in sectors like healthcare insurance.
Right.
France
Right.
has a much more efficient healthcare system,
Then the U.S.
delivers better outcomes
Better outcomes.
at a fraction of the cost.
Wow.
And he points to the rising cost of insurance in the U.S.
Right.
with many companies refusing to cover certain areas
Because of climate change.
climate risks. Yeah.
Climate risk.
Markets don't always self-correct.
Right. Sometimes
Government intervention
is necessary.
is necessary
to ensure
a fairness
fairness. Yeah.
and efficiency.
And efficiency, talking about government intervention.
Stiglitz also emphasizes strong regulations to curb
Yes.
corporate power,
Curb corporate power. Promote competition.
promote competition, which brings us back to diversity of institutions,
Right.
not just for-profit corporations,
Yeah.
McProfits, profits, public institutions, cooperatives driven by
Something other than just maximizing profit.
elder care, for example.
Elder care.
Would you really want your loved ones
Cared for.
cared for by a for-profit corporation?
It's a tough question.
That's the tough question.
So, reclaiming freedom from those who have distorted it.
Yeah.
Where do we begin?
Citizen engagement.
Citizen engagement.
Stiglitz stresses that
When things are good.
people get complacent.
Right. Allows those empowered to
Consolidate their control. The frog in the
pot of water.
pot of water,
Right.
put it in boiling water, jumps right out.
Jumps right out.
Slowly heat the water.
Slowly heat it up.
Doesn't notice the danger.
Till it's too late.
Too late is a powerful metaphor.
Powerful metaphor.
Right, Cameron?
Passive.
Passive.
Gotta stay informed.
Stay informed.
Get involved.
Get involved.
Hold those in power.
Accountable. Stiglitz, he says, power concedes nothing.
Without a demand.
Without a demand, it's up to us
It's up to us
to make those demands and fight for a more
just an equitable world
just an equitable world
where freedom truly flourishes.
where freedom truly flourishes.
This has been a good deep dive
It's been a great deep dive,
into the work of Joseph Stiglitz
challenging us to think differently about freedom, exposing the dangers,
of unchecked corporate power
and highlighting the need for a more balanced
and ethical approach.
to economics and governance.
His insights, they offer a roadmap
They do.
where freedom benefits everyone,
Everyone.
not just a select few.
It's a call to action, really.
It is.
To become more engaged citizens.
Demand more from our leaders.
Fight for a future where freedom truly flourishes.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on the podcast, Philippe.
See you next time.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the ideas that matter.